Picture the image, just for a second. Summon it in your mind. It is, it's arguably the most famous monster design in human history.
Oh, for
Woman's face frozen in a scream, or maybe it's a sneer, framed by, this writhing nest of venomous vipers instead of hair.
And the eyes.
The eyes are wide, manic, and we all know the rule. You look, you turn to stone. And then, of course, the finale. The hero Perseus holding her severed head up like this grisly trophy.
It's the ultimate monster movie still frame.
Mm-hmm.
Medusa, the Gorgon, it's iconic. It's on shields, flags, high fashion logos.
It is everywhere. And we think we know the story behind that face. If you grew up reading Percy Jackson or watching Clash of the Titans or just existing in Western culture, you know the tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's practically a script at this point. A beautiful priestess of Athena, assaulted in a temple by Poseidon, and then cruelly punished by a jealous goddess who turns her into a monster.
It's a really powerful narrative. A story of victim blaming, divine injustice, and this tragic transformation. It's the version that has defined Medusa for the last 2,000 years.
But here's the problem with what we know. What if I told you that almost that entire story, the priestess, the beauty, the curse, the temple, is a lie?
Or, to be a little more charitable, a massive misunderstanding of the timeline.
Right, and that's where this gets so fascinating. Because the Medusa we think we know, the cursed victim, is actually the newest version of the character.
Yeah. If you dig back to the actual origins, the story's completely different. And honestly, it's much, much stranger.
So today on The Deep Dive, we're on a mission to untangle this whole mess. We've got a stack of sources here, from modern feminist analysis to ancient Roman poetry, all the way back to the archaic Greek origins. We're going to peel back the layers.
Starting with the modern day and how we see her now, then back to the Romans who made this version famous, and finally, we're going to uncover the original Greek myth.
And just a heads up to you listening in, you're going to have to discard your assumptions. We're going to have to carefully distinguish between, cursed victim, empowered survivor, and born monster.
It's going to get a little complicated, but stick with us.
Okay, let's start with the version that's just in the cultural water right now. The Ovid standard, if you will.
Right. This is the bedrock of the modern understanding. Mm-hmm. The version most of us got in school. Medusa is a beautiful maiden.
And often they say she's a priestess of Athena, which is so crucial because it adds this layer of deep betrayal to the story.
Exactly. And she's assaulted by Poseidon or Neptune, since we're usually talking about the Roman version here, right there in Athena's sacred temple.
And Athena, instead of going after the powerful male god who, defiled her space.
The Roman temple, yeah.
She turns her wrath on the victim. She transforms Medusa into a Gorgon.
It's the classic example of blaming the woman. It paints Athena as this cold, judgmental, almost internally misogynistic goddess. It's a story that frankly makes you angry.
It does. However, there's a really fascinating modern theory that's been gaining a lot of traction. We looked at this compelling argument that suggests we've been reading Athena's motivation all wrong.
This is the protection theory, right?
Yes, the protection theory. And I think for a lot of people, this kind of fixes the plot hole of Athena's cruelty. The core idea is that Athena wasn't punishing Medusa at all.
She was protecting her.
She was protecting her. But how does turning someone into a monster count as protection? That's usually a downgrade.
Well, the argument goes that Athena is the goddess of wisdom. She knew she couldn't actually punish Poseidon. He's one of the big three Olympians, brother of Zeus. He is untouchable.
Okay.
But she saw that Medusa had been victimized and was basically defenseless in a world where her beauty was a liability. So the curse was actually a gift in disguise.
I see. So by taking away her conventional beauty, the thing that attracted the unwanted attention, and giving her the power to turn men to stone.
Exactly. She made it so that no man could ever hurt Medusa again without paying the ultimate price.
It reframes the whole thing as an act of mercy, of empowerment. Her gaze becomes a weapon against the male gaze.
And you can see why that resonates so powerfully today. It reclaims the character. It turns a story of hopeless tragedy into a story of women looking out for women in a system that's rigged against them.
The snakes become a badge of power, not a mark of shame.
It allows Medusa to be a symbol of survivor rage, which is a very significant cultural touchstone right now.
It's a beautiful narrative. I want it to be true, but looking at the stack of historical documents we have here, I feel like we're about to hit a pretty big wall.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah.
As much as that theory works as a modern lens, we have to put on our historian hats and look at the texts.
Yeah.
Because the history doesn't just fail to back it up.
It contradicts it.
It actively contradicts it. And this brings us to what some experts call the Ovid Problem.
The Ovid Problem.
This is the key to unlocking the whole misunderstanding. We have to remember where the story of the assault and the curse comes from. It's primarily from Ovid's Metamorphoses. And Ovid was writing in the 1st century CE.
Context is king here. So he's writing, 700 or 800 years after the Greek myths were first written down?
Exactly. Centuries later. And he's Roman. That matters. Ovid wasn't writing a religious text. He wasn't a priest recording dogma.
He was a poet.
He was a poet. He was writing entertainment. I mean, think of him as the Quentin Tarantino of ancient Rome. He was taking these old Greek stories and remixing them for a Roman audience, often ramping up the tragedy and the sexual violence.
So the whole idea that Medusa was a priestess, or that this was a punishment for an assault, that's basically Ovid's invention.
In a way, yes. He was projecting Roman social dynamics onto Greek myths, and he's not even consistent about it, which shows he was focused on drama, not canon.
What do you mean?
In one book of Metamorphoses, he describes it as a clear assault. But in another book, he implies Neptune seduced her by turning into a bird. He just blurred the lines of consent constantly to suit whatever poem he was writing at that moment.
Wow, that makes the foundation of the protection theory pretty shaky if the author of the source can't even decide if it was an assault or not.
Exactly. And that theory relies on Athena being secretly benevolent. But in Ovid's text, and in the ones before him, Athena is an upholder of patriarchal order. The temple was defiled, period. She didn't care about the circumstances.
So the gift theory is entirely a 21st century invention.
It is a modern myth-making exercise to help us make sense of the story today. And that's fine, myths evolve, but if we want to know what the Greeks actually believed, we have to go way further back than Ovid.
Okay, let's jump in the time machine. We're going to, 700 BCE?
Roughly, yeah. We're looking at Hesiod's Theogony. This is basically the source code for Greek mythology.
So what does the real Medusa look like before the Roman remix?
Prepare yourself, because this is where the twist really hits. In the oldest records, Medusa was never a human woman.
Wait.
She was never a priestess. She was never transformed at all.
She was never human.
Never. She was born a monster.
Born a monster. So the snakes, the claws, the stone gaze, that wasn't a punishment. That was just her genetics.
Precisely. Let's look at her family tree, because in Greek mythology, lineage is everything. Her parents were Forces and Ceto. These were primordial sea deities. Think of them as the sea equivalents of, like Gaia and Typhon. Ancient, earthly, and terrifying.
So Medusa comes from a dynasty of monsters.
A dynasty of nightmares. Her parents birthed dragons, the Echidna, the mother of all monsters, the sirens. And Medusa wasn't an only child. She had two sisters, Stheno and Euryale.
The Gorgons?
The Gorgons, exactly. And here's a detail Ovid leaves out. The sisters had the same monstrous features as Medusa.
So there were 3 of them.
3 identical horrors, but there was one crucial difference. Stheno and Euryale were immortal gods. Medusa was the only mortal one. That was her only flaw, if you can call it that. She could die.
That completely changes everything. It's not about a woman being punished. It's about a creature being born into a family of horrors.
And when I say horrors, I really mean it. The original Greek description of the Gorgons is not the beautiful woman with snake hair from the movies. They were described as eldritch abominations.
Eldritch abominations. This is a strong phrase. What did they actually look like in the old art?
We're talking boar tusks jutting out of their mouths. Huge ones. Metallic brass claws, bloated, bulging eyes that stared right at you, hanging tongues that lolled down over beards.
She had a beard.
Often depicted with beards, yes. And golden wings. They lived at the edge of the world. They were meant to be terrifying.
So not a pretty girl who got cursed. The idea was she was so hideously awful that you literally froze in fear and disgust. Petrified.
Exactly. The Gorgons represented the terrifying, untamable danger of the deep sea. They were nature's fury given form. They weren't meant to be sympathetic.
Okay, so if she's a boar-tusked, bearded, metallic clawed monster born from sea gods, what happens to the Poseidon story? Does the assault still happen?
This is maybe the most surprising part. In the original Hesiod version, there is no assault.
Really?
Hesiod describes Poseidon and Medusa lying together in a soft, flowery meadow. It's depicted as a consensual, even a pastoral romance.
I'm having a hard time picturing an Olympian god romancing a tusked monster in a field of flowers. Why would Poseidon do that?
You have to understand Poseidon's character. He was the dark double of Zeus. Zeus went for beautiful princesses and queens, establishing orderly kingdoms. Poseidon, he was the god of the deep. He had a thing for the strange.
He was the father of monsters.
He was. He fathered Polyphemus, the Cyclops, Pegasus. So for him to hook up with a Gorgon, a fellow sea deity of ancient lineage, that was actually very on brand for him. It wasn't violence, it was just Poseidon being Poseidon.
So originally we have a consensual romance between a sea god and a born monster. No victim, no curse.
Right.
And then hundreds of years later, Ovid is writing a tragedy about a human victim assaulted in a temple.
Also correct.
How did we get from A to B? That's a huge leap. Did Ovid just make it all up?
Not entirely, and this is the missing link in our investigation.
Yeah.
There's a middle ground between born monster and Ovid victim. And it has to do with how the Greeks started changing their art.
The art changed the story.
Yes. Between the 5th and 2nd centuries BCE, the Gorgonian, the image of the Gorgon's head on shields and pottery, it started to get less grotesque. The tusks got smaller. The face became more human, more beautiful.
So the artists were beautifying the monster. Why?
Well, aesthetics evolved. The Greek became obsessed with the human form. Grotesque beasts fell out of fashion. They wanted their monsters to be tragically beautiful. And as the art shifted, the myths had to shift to explain why this monster looked like a pretty woman.
Ah, so they needed a backstory for her beauty.
Exactly. And we find it in a version recorded by Apollodorus, a story of vanity.
The Vanity myth.
In this Middle Era version, Medusa was a beautiful human woman, but she was incredibly vain.
Let me guess. She bragged about her beauty.
Specifically, she bragged that her hair was more beautiful than Athena's.
Oh, that is a rookie mistake. You do not challenge a goddess to a beauty contest. That's Mythology 101.
Never. So in this version, Athena curses Medusa not because of an assault and not to protect her, but purely as a punishment for her hubris, for her arrogance. She turns that beautiful, boastful hair into snakes.
That makes so much sense. That connects the dots, because in Ovid's version, he talks a lot about how beautiful her hair was before the curse. He was holding on to that piece of the vanity myth.
Right. Ovid was a master remixer. He took the born monster romance, combined it with the vain human punished by Athena story, and then added his own Roman flavor of tragic melodrama and sexual violence. He stitched them all together.
It's like a game of telephone that lasted 1,000 years.
It really is. And every generation changed the message to fit its own culture.
So let's unpack this timeline, because I want to make sure I've got this straight for you listing. Because if you tell someone at a dinner party that Medusa wasn't cursed, they're going to look at you like you're crazy.
Go for it. Lay it out.
Phase 1. Archaic Greece. Medusa is a born monster, a demon of the sea with tusks and wings. She has a consensual fling with Poseidon because he's into that sort of thing.
Correct. That's the Hesiod era, the era of fear and chaos.
Phase 2. Classical Greece. The art gets prettier, so the story shifts. Now she's a vain human who insults Athena's hair. She gets cursed for being arrogant.
The vanity myth.
Yeah.
Your era of hubris and divine punishment.
Phase 3. Rome. Ovid enters the chat. He keeps the curse, keeps the beauty, but changes the cause from vanity to assault, creating the tragic victim narrative we all know.
Which then leads to phase 4, the modern era, where we look at Ovid's victim story and try to reclaim it, inventing the protection theory to make Athena a hero instead of a villain.
It is wild how the same character can be a villain, a cautionary tale, a victim, and a feminist icon, just depending on who's telling the story.
And that is the power of mythology. It isn't stagnant. These aren't just old stories preserved in amber. They're mirrors. The Greeks needed monsters at the edge of the world. The Romans loved a good tragedy. And we need symbols of survival and justice. We need Medusa to be someone who fights back.
It really changes how you look at that face. It's not just a scary mask, it's a palimpsest. Layers written over layers of human history.
Exactly. And, looking back at all this, it raises an uncomfortable question about how we process these stories today.
What's up?
We seem to have a really hard time accepting the born monster version. Even in Ovid's time, they were trying to humanize her. And today, we desperately want her to be a victim or a hero. We want her to be human.
Because if she's just a monster with tusks, we can't relate to her.
Maybe. We struggle to find empathy for something that is purely other. But think about that original Hesiod myth again. The one with the flowery meadow.
The monster romance.
Right. In the modern version, Medusa is beautiful but tragic.
Yeah.
Assaulted, cursed, killed. It is misery from start to finish. But in the oldest monstrous version, She's an eldritch horror, yes,
Yeah.
but she's also accepted.
Accepted.
She has a lover who seeks her out. She belongs to a powerful family. She isn't a victim of anyone, she's just existing.
Yeah.
She's powerful in her own right, not because a goddess pitied her, but because she was born that way.
That is weirdly wholesome in a terrifying way.
It is, isn't it? We spent so much time trying to fix her story by making her a beautiful human, but in doing so, we turned her life into a tragedy. We made her a victim. The monster, ironically, had the most agency.
That is a lot to process. The idea that the most romantic version of the story involves a bearded lady with boar tusks and the god of the sea.
And that says a lot about us, doesn't it? Why do we feel the need to humanize monsters to understand them? Why can't we just let a monster be a monster and still find her interesting?
I think that's the perfect place to leave it for you to chew on. Next time you see a statue of Medusa or see her head on a Versace logo, ask yourself, which Medusa are you looking at? The Roman victim, the modern survivor, or the original terrifying queen of the deep?
And remember, sometimes the oldest stories are the ones that surprise us the most.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll catch you on the next one.